Have you ever stopped to consider that every peak of pleasure your body experiences carries with it a biological bill that needs to be paid? This is not a philosophical metaphor, but rather a physiological reality documented by modern science. Every orgasm, every moment of sexual ecstasy represents not only a peak of pleasure, but also a complex process of evolutionary compensation that has been refined over millions of years. What you experience as pure pleasure is actually the result of a complex biological negotiation where your body exchanges precious resources for a momentary neural reward. This exchange involves neurotransmitters, hormones, metabolic energy, and even a temporary restructuring of bodily priorities. We will embark on a fascinating journey through the hidden mechanisms of sexual pleasure, where we will discover how your body manages this delicate balance between immediate reward and evolutionary cost. This exploration will reveal why sexual pleasure evolved as a biological currency, what resources your body actually expends in these moments of ecstasy, and how this understanding can radically transform your relationship with your own body and sexuality. Your brain operates as a sophisticated resource management system, where each pleasurable experience represents a complex neurochemical transaction. When you experience orgasm, your brain releases a precise cascade of neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins that together create the intense sensation of pleasure. However, this release does not come without costs. Dopamine, often called the currency of pleasure, requires significant resources to be synthesized, released, and then recycled. Each dopamine molecule consumes specific metabolic precursors, cellular energy, and specialized transport systems. After the massive release during orgasm, your brain must work intensely to replenish these stores, a process that demands time and physiological resources. But the costs go beyond simple neurochemistry. During orgasm, your body prioritizes the reward system over other important functions. The immune system may be temporarily suppressed, digestion is deprioritized, and even pain perception is altered to allow the pleasurable experience to occur uninterrupted. This reprioritization represents a conscious biological investment where your body decides that the reward of pleasure justifies the temporary costs of other functions. Evolution shaped this system because sexual pleasure serves a fundamental purpose to ensure reproduction and the continuation of the species. However, in modern society, where sex has often become disconnected from its reproductive purpose, we continue to pay the same biological costs for pleasures that now serve different social and emotional functions. This disconnect between original evolutionary function and contemporary use creates interesting tensions in how our bodies manage these resources. The hormonal dance during orgasm represents one of the most significant investments your body makes in exchange for pleasure. Testosterone, often associated with sexual desire, requires a complex synthesis process that consumes cholesterol and considerable metabolic energy. Your body maintains a delicate balance of this hormone, and each spike during sexual activity represents not only a release, but also a subsequent need for replenishment. Oxytocin, known as the attachment hormone, involves equally interesting costs. Its release during orgasm promotes emotional bonding, but also temporarily suppresses the production of cortisol, the stress hormone. This suppression, while pleasurable in the moment, can represent a temporary vulnerability in stress response systems. Cortisol, when properly regulated, is essential for functions such as blood pressure regulation and inflammatory response. By momentarily suppressing it in favor of pleasure, your body makes a calculated choice. The benefit of social bonding and immediate reward justifies the temporary reduction in stress response capacity. But perhaps the most fascinating hormonal cost involves prolactin. After orgasm, prolactin levels increase significantly, creating feelings of satisfaction and satiety, but also temporarily suppressing sexual desire. This mechanism acts as a natural control system, ensuring you don't expend sexual resources indefinitely. Each orgasm activates this feedback loop, essentially creating a biological cooling-off period where your body recovers and replenishes its resources. This cycle represents a brilliant evolutionary strategy. Pleasure is intense enough to motivate sexual behavior, but post-pleasure mechanisms are strong enough to prevent complete resource depletion. In nature, where energy and resources are limited, this balance is essential for survival. In modern life, understanding these cycles can help explain why we feel certain ways after sex and how we can work with our biology rather than against it. Each orgasm consumes a staggering amount of physical and metabolic energy, far beyond the obvious caloric expenditure during sexual activity. Your heart accelerates to rates that can reach 150 beats per minute or more, a cardiovascular effort equivalent to a moderate exercise session. Breathing becomes labored, with oxygen consumption increasing dramatically to meet the energy demands of your muscles and brain. The muscles involved in intercourse and orgasm contract rhythmically, consuming ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, at a significantly increased rate. However, the most profound energetic costs occur at the cellular and neural level. Your brain during orgasm displays intense patterns of neural activity, with multiple regions lighting up simultaneously in a pyrotechnic display of electrical activity. This neural hyperactivity consumes glucose and oxygen at a rate that far exceeds brain activity during most other human experiences. After climax, your body enters a state of repair and recovery that also consumes energy. Neurotransmitters need to be resynthesized, hormones rebalanced, muscles restored. This recovery phase can last hours or even days, depending on the intensity of the experience and the individual's overall health. But perhaps the most significant energetic cost is the investment in maintaining the pleasure system itself. Your body constantly expends energy, keeping neural receptors sensitive, hormone synthesis systems operational, and neural recompensation pathways ready for use. This maintenance cost, while less obvious than those spent during orgasm itself, represents an ongoing investment your body makes to preserve the ability to experience sexual pleasure. Evolution selected this investment because the ability to experience sexual pleasure is directly linked to reproductive success. However, like all biological investments, it involves trade-offs. Resources allocated to the sexual pleasure system are not available for other systems and functions. This is the essence of the concept of biological opportunity cost. Every resource spent on pleasure is a resource not spent on other priorities, such as growth, repair, or immune defense. Evolution didn't create sexual pleasure by accident or generosity. It shaped it as a precisely calibrated tool to maximize reproductive success at a biologically acceptable cost. The intense pleasure of orgasm evolved as a reward that motivates humans to pursue sexual activity despite the significant costs and risks involved. These costs include not only the energetic and hormonal resources already discussed, but also the risks of predation, disease transmission, the loss of time that could be used for other survival activities, and, in the specific case of women, the enormous costs of pregnancy and childbearing. The female orgasm, in particular, represents one of the most fascinating evolutionary puzzles. Unlike in men, where orgasm is clearly linked to ejaculation and potential reproduction, female orgasm is not strictly necessary for reproduction. Why then have women evolved to experience orgasm, often at significant biological costs? Evolutionary theories suggest that female orgasm may serve to strengthen bonds with partners, promote ovulation in some cases, or even aid in the selection of genetically superior mates. Regardless of the specific function, the fact remains: the female orgasm represents a significant biological investment that has persisted throughout evolution, suggesting that its benefits somehow outweigh its costs. In men, orgasm is intrinsically linked to ejaculation and therefore to the direct possibility of reproduction. However, even here, there are fascinating evolutionary trade-offs. Semen quality, sperm motility, and the composition of seminal fluid represent significant investments of resources. Each ejaculate contains proteins, fructose, minerals, and other compounds that must be synthesized or obtained through diet. After ejaculation, the body must replenish these resources, a process that demands time and energy. Evolution solved this challenge through the reward system. The intense pleasure of male orgasm ensures that men are motivated to ejaculate and thus reproduce despite the costs involved. In both sexes, evolution found a balance where pleasure is intense enough to motivate sexual behavior, but not so intense that it leads individuals to completely neglect other survival needs. This precise balance is what makes sexual pleasure simultaneously one of the most intense human experiences and one of the most biologically costly. The next time you experience an orgasm or simply reflect on your sexuality, remember, you are witnessing and participating in a complex biological negotiation with deep roots in our evolutionary history. The pleasure you feel is not just a momentary sensation, but rather the culmination of a sophisticated system of exchanges and investments your body makes in the name of survival and reproduction. This understanding does not diminish the magic or intensity of sexual pleasure. On the contrary, it adds layers of depth and meaning to the fundamental human experience. Understanding the biological costs of pleasure allows us to make more conscious decisions about our sexuality, recognize the importance of balance in our sex lives, and appreciate the incredible sophistication of the systems that make the experience of pleasure possible. If this journey into the hidden mechanisms of sexual pleasure has piqued your curiosity about the complex biological negotiations occurring within your body every moment, imagine what other fascinating discoveries await exploration. The science of human sexuality is constantly revealing new insights into how our bodies work, how our minds process pleasure, and how we can cultivate a healthier and more informed relationship with our sexuality. Want to continue this fascinating exploration of the mysteries of human biology? Leave a comment about what aspect of sexual pleasure surprised you most, whether it's the neuroeconomics of neurotransmitters, the hormonal costs of ecstasy, or the fascinating evolutionary trade-offs that shaped our sexual experience. Your personal experiences and reflections can greatly enrich this collective conversation about one of the most universal yet deeply personal human experiences. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow our next journeys into the unexplored territories of human biology, because understanding how we truly function represents the first step to unlocking our full potential as conscious individuals. And if this video expanded your understanding of the complex dance between pleasure and biology, share it with someone who also enjoys discovering the extraordinary secrets hidden in the most intimate experiences of human existence. Shared knowledge not only enriches us individually, but elevates our collective understanding of the miracle of conscious life in all its dimensions, including those we experience in moments of greatest intimacy and connection.